The Nacc Podcast, Know the Corruption, Know the Truth. It is well known that corruption or misconduct in the civil service and the opaque operations of the government sector are considered as one of the major problems that hinder the development of the country. Therefore, there have always been ideas and methods to prevent and suppress such actions.
And everyone, do you know that since the Ayatollah period, there has been a law called the Royal Criminal Code, P.495, which has prescribed punishments for civil servants who commit corruption and misconduct in 10 situations, from the most severe to the lightest. If you read the information about the 10 punishments, you will know that in the past, there were severe punishments. The most severe was cutting the neck, confiscation of the house, confiscation of the royal property, or seizure of all property of slaves and servants in the possession of the convict, which will be confiscated to become the property of the state. It is called "Don't play with the system." It is not wrong.
This evidence tells us that corruption is not a small matter. There are many laws that have been enacted to be used as measures to prevent corruption and misconduct by the government. The disclosure of assets and liabilities is one measure according to the concept of checking the use of state power.
We often hear about the submission of asset and liability statements. Some people submit completely and there is nothing. But some people are not like that. They intentionally submit incomplete statements, use various tricks to conceal their asset and liability statements, or make false statements. So what will be left?
It is unlikely to be left, because the filing of a list of assets and liabilities is one measure to check and prevent corruption.
So who really has the duty to file a list of assets and liabilities?
The answer is that the Constitution of the Kingdom of Thailand B.T. 2560 and the Organic Act on the Prevention and Suppression of Corruption B.T. 2561 have given the Nacc the authority to determine the positions for those who have the duty to file a list of assets and liabilities to the Nacc, including politicians, government officials, local politicians, to file a list of their own assets and liabilities, including spouses, which can be expanded to include living together as husband and wife, and children who have not yet reached the age of majority. The filing must be accompanied by evidence showing the existence of the assets and liabilities, and an inspection must be conducted to verify the accuracy, existence, changes in assets, and the results of the inspection to see if there are any irregularities, including the disclosure of the asset and liability accounts of politicians, high-ranking government officials, and local politicians.
How much has the filing of asset and liability accounts in Thailand actually changed from the past to the present? I believe that there must be much tighter inspection than before, right?
I think it is an adjustment to keep up with the times. There are more mechanisms to verify evidence than before. More information is disclosed to the public than before. For the current year of filing asset and debt statements, the important developments since 1997-2017 are as follows. Expand the definition of spouse to include living together as husband and wife. Submit with evidence proving their existence. Check changes in assets and disclose the results of the inspection to see if there are any irregularities. Disclose asset and debt statements to the public more. Allow government officials who do not have to file asset and debt statements to the Nacc to file asset and debt statements to the head of the government agency as specified in the royal decree, which currently has no requirement to do so.
To be honest, there is still one question. I would like to ask for supporting reasons. Why do we have to file? What will we get from filing? More importantly, will filing really help prevent corruption?
Let's listen to the reasons. There are two main reasons for filing asset and debt statements. Filing asset and debt statements is a preventive measure, which is to prevent corruption. This is because filing asset and debt statements is an important mechanism for checking the use of power by the person filing the statement. It is like taking a photo of the person filing the statement as evidence at the time they start their position. When they leave their position, they can compare it with the previously filed statement to see how it has changed. If it is found that assets have increased abnormally, the National Anti-Corruption Commission (NACC) will check the source of the assets to see if they were legally acquired. In addition, filing asset and debt statements is a measure to prevent conflicts of interest, which is a major cause of corruption problems because positions may be used to benefit business groups related to those who exercise power and conflict with the interests of the state. Create transparency and good governance because disclosing asset and debt statements to the public allows the public to check the wealth of the person filing the statement before and after they take office. The public can analyze whether the person filing the statement's assets come from honest income or not.
So that's how it is. Now you understand that filing asset and debt statements is also a way to show responsibility to the public. And it also creates ethical standards for politicians and administrators of the country. If it is like this, when there is a duty to submit, it must be submitted correctly, and must submit true information that is not concealed or false. This is what should be done.
That's right. If you don't submit the account, it's like concealing your assets and liabilities, or if you submit it but don't submit it completely, it's like falsely reporting your assets and liabilities, which may be because you're afraid of being investigated for the source of your assets and liabilities.
That's right. This kind of behavior has been seen in various news stories and has been a hot topic all along. And finally, when they use tricks to conceal their assets and liabilities or make false statements, the way out for these people is often not beautiful or paved with rose petals, but often turns into a sad movie full of tears.
In addition, political penalties have been imposed in addition to criminal penalties for intentionally not submitting an account of assets and liabilities, or intentionally submitting an account and supporting documents that contain false information or concealing facts that should have been disclosed, which is punishable by imprisonment not exceeding 6 months or a fine not exceeding 10,000 baht, or both. The chairman of the NACC will forward the case to the Attorney General to proceed with a lawsuit with the Supreme Court's Criminal Division for holders of political positions. In addition to criminal penalties, offenses related to submitting an account of assets and liabilities also have other penalties, namely, political coercive measures in the form of disqualification or restricting political rights, such as prohibiting the accused from holding a political position or any position in a political party for 5 years, or revoking the right to run for election, and whether or not the right to vote is revoked for a period not exceeding 10 years.
This kind of punishment is not worth the exchange. Doing things transparently is the best.
In fact, the measures that require government officials, especially those holding political positions, to declare their assets and liabilities, including the rather severe punishment of prohibiting them from holding political positions for a certain number of years, are all measures that result from the need to reform politics, solve the problem of the opaque operations of those holding various political positions, and hope to create more awareness and responsibility for the operations of the government sector, including disseminating communications to the public, so that the public can jointly inspect and be aware in another way. While the inspection process is thorough, I am still confident in this measure. It is one measure that will be able to develop politics in Thailand to move forward with greater transparency. Honest, fair, professional, transparent, and verifiable. National Anti-Corruption Commission.